So, welcome to this next video for COMP3218, Game Design and Development at the University of Southampton. My name's Dave Millard, I'm one of the lecturers on the course, and I'm here with...
I'm Tom Blount, I also lecture on the course.
So we have a number of games to look through, all of which are kind of narrative games. Tom, do you want to say a little bit about what we asked the students to do?
Yeah, this coursework focused on storytelling in games. We asked the students to produce a small game prototype with a story engine, so something where the game impacts the narrative and the narrative impacts the game. And we asked them to base their game on one of 3 fairy tales.
Brilliant. Okay, well, let's find out what they did. So I think our first game is called Robot Uprising.
Okay, let's bring that up. Okay, Robot Uprising.
Okay, oh, I like the little logo already.
So one of 3 fairy tales, we said, yes?
Yes.
Look at that, they've got DGen Games. Either they've very blatantly stolen this from a totally separate company, or they've formed their own little games company, which is kind of a nice little touch.
It is.
That's one way of telling narrative.
Oh.
In the far future, a war known as the Ruin has wiped out the... I'm still not sure which fairy tale this is. A war known as the Ruin has wiped out the human race, leaving the robots whom they created and bestowed with intelligence as the apex predator on the planet. Having received intelligence, as understood by their human creators... I like that intelligence is in quotes there.
Yeah. Could they have not just directed us to the plot of Near Automata?
Yeah. It was only natural that these robots attempted to rebuild human society as they knew it once their masters were gone. The humans, being cautious of an uprising, only allowed most robots to have access to older science and history. This has resulted in something of a renaissance of the feudalistic systems of old, with autonomous regions emerging each... I mean, I'm kind of digging this premise.
Yeah, it's good.
But,
it's good.
but this
Yeah,
is
I
not
like
the way it should be delivered.
No. But I like the premise.
You play as the lord of one of these regions, as a robot who belonged to a high-standing member of society. So it's basically, yeah, Crusader Kings meets iRobot.
Yeah. So is it worth saying that kind of, you know, what they should have done is probably reduced this text down, but at the very least broken it up, and perhaps have, you know, 4 or 5 sentences appearing over 4 or 5 different images.
Yeah, some stock images of,
yeah,
like, you know, sort of city on fire, like robot in a castle, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So with our brother, we hope to unite the other lords under our banners and become the ruling monarch of what's left of society.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm stuck in the grass.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that robot! Look how cute it is.
He's great, isn't he? It's a really nice little robot model they've got there. Okay, so we've got a bit of tutorial on the side. Interact with the black robot pressing E, and then click through with left mouse button. Okay, so they've got a little objective system to kind of direct you around. I like that, and kind of...
The camera control feels really weird.
So is the mouse the camera, or...?
Yeah, mouse is the camera, and it's... I don't know whether it's like... There's just something that feels off about it, like it's inverted, or I think what they need to do is, what's the word, like clamp it a bit, because the fact that I can, you know, put it here isn't useful, so it should just sort of clamp here, I think.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I think it's inverted. There's just something about it where it's moving where I'm not expecting it to. Anyway, let's... Brother! J3841T3. Ah, good to see you. What in God's name are you yelling about? Ooh.
I was
religious robots. No time for that. The day we've been dreaming of has finally come. Today is the day you must go out and denounce attitude. No, let's agree. We're gonna unite the robot clans. But I mean, I guess it's sort of characterization of the protagonist, but
yeah, you not forget the past. Okay.
Okay. Speaking of which, could we please drop the medieval way of speaking at least when we are alone? It makes no sense.
Okay.
That's not really that medieval.
No, but you know.
Every time you're at the same page, you manage to come up with some new nonsensical. Very well then, brother. Remind me where I must go so I can be on my way. Makes some sense to coax the players. It's medieval. I see.
Okay.
Again, sort of characterization, I guess. Like, the brother is just doing it because power, whereas maybe we're on board with the whole, I don't know, divine right to rule thing.
Yep. Hmm.
Ah.
Oh.
You must visit the 3 settlements near the castle and meet with each of their leaders. Follow the road leading out to the castle gates, and you will be sure to find the right way.
So I like you're right. I like what they're doing, and they're characterizing the kind of each of the brothers. But it would be nice to actually get on into the game a little bit, and perhaps to do some of that characterization as we go.
Yeah. And also there's that sort of one dialogue option that's like agree or don't agree.
Yeah.
But then they just kind of give up with it and just sort of exposit at you.
Okay, let's go.
Text boxes such as these will appear to teach you important things. Current objectives, pressing escape.
Okay,
once you're done.
that's nice. I like that.
Okay, there is a little bit of music in the background as well. Off we go, follow the road. Pressing space toggles between walking and your ball form.
That sounds exciting. Haha.
I'm very much getting the opinion that this is a case of, you know, we found a cool asset pack and by golly we're going to use all of it.
But you know, I'm going to let them off because it fits and it's really nice.
Sorry, it fits. Which of these the 3 fairy tales that we asked them to make do you think this fits, Dave?
Well, it fits the story of medieval robots that they're putting together anyway. The retcon story of medieval robots.
The choices you make from here on out will have a great impact on the development of your story. Some of the options will open to you will lead to having to hack other robots. If this is the first time playing the game, you may wish to access the hacking tutorial from the pause menu. So not integrating it in the game, like
no, it's a bit of a shame, but at least it's there.
Deliberately kicking us to a separate...
Reach the goal.
What's the goal? How do I get there?
Mouse, look around. Left mouse, shoot. So we've got a kind of hacking mini game.
Remember, it hits you can sway.
Is that the goal?
I think that's a mock enemy. Your starting health is 3, but enemy health is hidden.
Oh, there's one. Got him.
Okay.
Purple balls cannot. Okay.
I'm not sure what this has got to do with hacking or medieval robots.
You can destroy the turret. Yeah, I mean, it follows in a long tradition of hacking games which have almost nothing to do with hacking.
That doesn't make them good.
No. Oh, meet with the chief of the church settlement in the west.
Wait, now we're back here.
Yeah, that's a bit strange.
And we've got a new objective.
So where did that come from, do you think? Meet with the chief of the windmill settlement in the north. And which direction is north? Which direction is east? Well, that must be the windmill settlement, and that must be the...
So they're not exactly spread out, these settlements. There's
No,
the
know,
church, there's the windmill.
In a way, that's a mercy, right? Because we don't want to be...
That is true.
10 minutes trekking across terrain. So,
Alright, let's just go left to right, shall we?
So you think this is the small village in the east?
No, this is the church settlement in the west.
Oh, church. Oh, I've missed
West,
that one.
north,
Chief
east.
the church settlement in the west. All right. It's
different looking robot.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember what the interact key was?
Was it E?
I think it was E. No indication of that though. You there by the graves. No need to shout, sir. I am well aware of your presence. But of course, I have come to converse, stranger. I do in fact have a name. I am Alpha the monk, chief of the settlement around this church.
Okay.
Like, there's something very weird about this story with like medieval robots, but I kind of like it. Like just a bunch of robots, like they're kind of like theme park mascots.
I admire the way they found a nice set of medieval assets and then a nice set of robot assets, and just thought, how can we make this work? But yeah, it kind of works. Like it has a sort of Horizon Zero Dawn vibe about it.
Judging by the surroundings, it seems like the robots around here have adopted the majority human religion of Christianity. I wonder if they adhere to the same values as human Christians once did. So our options are How Rude of Me or The King of That Big Old Castle.
I'm not really sure what either of those mean.
Yeah, because whatever the robot last said has been replaced with our internal musings.
Yeah.
I mean, do we want to be nice robot or bad robot?
Let's be nice to this fella. He seems alright.
How rude of me. I am... Blah, 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 blah. How come he's called Alpha and we're called 3LGO8L1 Nano? I've come to make a proposition which would benefit us both. King? No, I didn't mention anything about being a king. That was the other dialogue option.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that we recognise no king and don't feel a particular... Can I convince you? I'll change your mind. Or, actually...
So let's try and convince him nicely.
Okay. I respect your opinions, but please let me convince you I can be a good king. Very well, I will give you a chance. No other reason that you've shown me respect, and as a holy man I must respect. I'll give you a choice of how to prove yourself. I am the leader. People will only respect you if you possess certain qualities. Choose whether you will attempt to prove your intellect or skill.
Oh, we're doomed. Okay, what should we go for?
Let's go with intellect. My intellect is my sharpest weapon. Oh, a riddle. I love riddles. If you can solve this riddle, then I will vouch for you in front of my people. What is 11 plus 4?
Okay. Is it a trick question?
I mean, is it going to be? It's going to be in like base 8 or something.
Something like that, yeah. But so you have 2 tries. Let's try
15. One. Is it 15? Oh, okay.
Oh, so no. Okay.
That seems kind of...
Yeah.
I mean... So they're definitely telling a story.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced there's a huge amount of gameplay involved in it.
Well, in fairness, we didn't choose the force him option.
Yeah, true.
Which might have involved a little hacking game. But let's see.
But if like an entire half of your game is just like if half of your game is fun hacking games and half of it is trivially easy riddles, then you've designed an unbalanced game. We might be following some primitive decisions, but we also know a thing or two will upgrade your health and your hacking tool. I haven't needed either of those yet. Anyway, let's roll away and have a look elsewhere. Yeah. Okay.
So we've still got our 2 other objectives.
Oh, I can just go straight across the grass. That's much quicker. Oi, are you the guy that's come to fix Twin Mill? I'm afraid not. I have come to converse. Let's continue being nice robot.
Should we...
Interesting. Because we were polite to this guy, he doesn't trust us. So we only have the options to force him or be destructive. So given that we've decided we're going to be the good robot and we're picking all the good options, they've engineered a situation where we're forced not to do that.
Yes. Well, what should we go for?
Let's go for forceful. Let's subvert his entire mind rather than destroying him. That sounds like a good thing.
Did we have those blocks in the tutorial?
Yeah, we did. But they got destroyed so quickly that we didn't really see them. But, okay, they follow you.
Okay, so I quite like the fact they've thought about the design of these a little bit. My goodness, how much health does that have?
I think that thing is undefeatable because it's purple. Also, it said you can right. Oh, nope. Never mind. Just gonna run away. Okay.
Okay, so you failed, and it just put you back at the beginning. Do you have a choice to back out?
I don't think I do.
It's rather more difficult than I was expecting it to be, actually.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but... Oh yeah, you're right, it's purple.
And I got stuck on a block, so it took off one of my health.
Yeah.
I mean, given the jump in difficulty from what is 11 plus 4 to...
Yeah, can we bring back the simple arithmetic? It might be nice to kind of have some kind of riddle where there were clues in the environment or something else that would help you. So very often what narrative type games do is that they'll have kind of in your conversations with people you'll find out a little bit about them, and then you can use that to persuade them or answer their questions. And
so because he said I follow the I don't know, like the Christian religion or whatever, I was expecting some sort of riddle based on that knowledge of this weird ancient human religion.
Yeah,
but no, 11 plus 4.
Or even some choices where one of the choices appealed to that.
Yeah.
And we could, if we'd be paying attention, we could pick that choice.
So here's a really annoying thing. This thing following you constantly, but also this thing doesn't follow the rules we do. It can go through these orange blocks.
Yeah, which is a shame actually.
So now I'm sort of trapped between these, because the purple thing you have to sort of take your time with and sort of duck in and hide to avoid being damaged. But then having an invincible, unkillable thing that can sort of just go through all these obstacles. And then look at this. How...
Oh, it's really...
unless I have to shoot it in the... Ah, okay, you can shoot it in the back.
Ah, okay. Was that in the tutorial?
It was not. Oh, well, it said purple things can't be destroyed, and the back of it was not purple, but also I can't actually shoot any of these things because of the sheer volume of stuff.
And it's put you right back to the beginning again.
Alright.
At least you can destroy the...
Yeah.
If you can get it on the back. Blimey. Okay. I have a feeling we've got quite a few... I'm looking at the narrative structure they handed in. I'm trying to figure out how many options we've got. Yeah, unfortunately their diagram isn't very easy to understand. But it looks to me so essentially this is a version of the Queen Bee story, right? We meet a whole bunch of people, we can help them, we can convert or destroy them. And then according to the way we behave, we get different types of endings. Right? That's what they're going for. That kind of cumulative.
I mean, it's a bit of a reach, but
well, it's a bit of a reach because of the way they've set it up. So because it's set up in that we're trying to persuade them that we're the rightful kings of the kingdom. So we're not really helping them, as it were.
I was about to jinx it and say I think I've got the hang of this, but I don't want to have to go through it all again.
Well, it's a very long...
Oh, what the sodding...
Yeah, okay. And that one's got some sort of shield? Let's not try and hack another robot, shall we?
I didn't want to hack this robot. I only did that because the game literally forced me to.
How can we... Yeah. So, yeah, okay. How are you supposed to get to that? There was a red thing in the middle, it's disappeared.
Well, I think my objective is to destroy these turrets, and that will remove the shield. There we go, there goes one. The problem is because they're shooting so much stuff, I can't actually get to them. There we go.
Alright, does that mean that that went, aha?
So now that shield's gone, but now I still have to get behind it. And because of these really tight corridors, the second I try and get behind it, it's going to just kill me.
Are you going to go all the way around?
I'm trying. That's not going to work, is it? Let's see if I can juke around it.
And don't... There you go. It's fine. If you die, we'll just go all the way back to the beginning. It'll be fine.
Don't even joke about that. Okay. While I'm stuck doing this...
it is worth saying, I mean, they've... there we go.
Don't... What?
What?
What? Just spawn more things then, why don't you? Fine. See if I care.
So they've done a lot of stuff here, because they've got obviously they've designed a mini game, and then they've also got this other game on the outside.
Feels like maybe they could have spent their resources on one or the other.
That's what I was about to say. It feels to me that it would have been better off to focus on one or the other, and I mean, you could still have some kind of outside kind of narrative driven thing, but a little bit simpler than the environment that they have. Because I get the feeling they've done quite a lot of work to put this together, but perhaps haven't been able to spend as much time as they could on...
Just infinitely spawning more enemies. I think we've totally lost sight of the narrative now. Like,
yeah, I can't remember why we're in here. Is it the guy with the windmill?
There we
go. Oh!
Oh god, it puts me back to the start.
Okay. Let's while you are
no, absolutely not. Oh, Dave, I can't quit.
Okay. Well, while you're going through this for the second time,
I can't quit.
Let's have a chat about some of the criteria.
I'm genuinely restarting it, and I'm going to see if there's a different way around that, because I'm not doing that level again.
Okay.
Interesting. So I've restarted the game.
Oh, and it's remembered where you were.
But it saved my progress.
That's either a bug or a feature.
Let's say it's a feature.
Okay, presentation. Let's think about that. So this is kind of information design, graphics and audio, essentially. What do you reckon?
It's kind of interesting. Because one of the criteria is how well do all of the different assets that they've used go together? Like, are they consistent? And they're deliberately not.
Well,
so they're consistently inconsistent.
But the style isn't totally.
That's it.
They look.
I'm being a little bit glib. Like this bit, I actually quite like. I like the juxtaposition against the sort of lovely natural stuff and the robots. The problem is when you jump into a hacking game and it's just a totally different visual style and has no relation to the rest of it.
So I think that, but they set that up with the context, right? So within the hacking game, everything is very abstract. It's very consistent. Within this world, they're using kind of 3D models. They're slightly cartoony, but that works. The models are cartoony. The environment is cartoony.
So yeah, if you're really abrasive to this guy, he just goes, "Ha! I like your style," and then you can pick the agreeable option to fix his windmill for him and avoid that hacking game. But why is that the case? That's totally.
Was there a clue in the way he was talking when you came up to him, or no?
He says, "Hi, are you here to fix the windmill?"
So I mean, this is part of the problem with agency, right? We'll get onto that later, but I mean, I kind of like the presentation. I think the style looks really nice. They've been quite imaginative in the way they brought their assets together. You are right that the mini game is different, but I think that's okay because it's compartmentalized. It's a very different part of the game. We can argue whether the game design works with the hacking game, but in terms of the graphics, I think it's okay. What do you think of the audio?
It's all right. There's like a little bit of sort of lilting music in the background. It's I've already forgotten what the sound in the hacking minigame was. I was too focused on it. But I mean, yeah, there's some audio. It's quite nice.
I quite like the way that they put the objectives in the top right-hand corner. They've got some nice little touches in the mini game to show your health and to show you. They've used color quite a lot to kind of convey information. So I think they've done pretty well on the presentation front. A good would be key information is shown clearly, graphics are consistent, and appropriate use of audio. And I think they've definitely got that.
Yeah.
Excellent is key information shown clearly, consistent, and appealing graphics, and good use of audio. I think they've done a nice job with the graphic. Maybe it's not quite there, but it's either good or halfway between good and excellent. What do you think?
I'm not sure it quite reaches that. Like I said, I know the minigame's compartmentalized from it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It feels like it's like if they'd managed to sort of combine the sort of two styles somehow, then it'd really sort of show that consistency. That'd bump it up to that.
Yeah. I think that's difficult to do though when they're obviously using. So in this environment, they're using assets they've come across.
Well, hypothetically, if they'd used exactly the same robot assets, but just done like a sort of top-down view where you can see your little robot rolling around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not really
okay,
sure.
I'm happy. I mean, I said it was somewhere between the two, so you feel that's more like good.
I think so. I mean, yeah. I've got to do more hacking.
Hacking again.
And this is the agreeable option this time. I've got to fix his photon blade, which is definitely not a lightsaber, although it is also powered by kyber crystals.
Okay, it's presumably a different type of kyber crystal.
Well, it's spelled differently, so.
Gameplay. A set of complementary mechanics. What about the controls and meaningful play? So, most of the play is happening inside these mini games, right?
That's the thing. It's like there's a set of mechanics, and internally to this mini game, yeah, they're consistent and they work quite well. Like, I think the design of the level is perhaps a bit poor in that, the fact that it sends you right back to the start and is a little bit over complex or challenging. But the actual set of mechanics works together, and it's actually quite fun to play. The reason it's frustrating me so much is because I'm annoyed I can't get back to the main story bit, and that's kind of my issue with it.
It's too long and too difficult for its role within the larger game. Right?
Like, given it goes back to what you were saying earlier, right? If this was the entire game, then this would be fun. But it's not. The game is being a robot king and walking around and talking to people.
Yeah.
And this does not gel with that at all. That's the problem.
No. So, and it is tricky because, like I said, they have framed it separately. So, but as you said, I'm never sure that you ever get away with that completely. So even commercial games where there are completely different mini games with totally different mechanics, I think that's difficult.
To me, it feels a little bit like, well, we couldn't think of a way of incorporating gameplay into the story, so we've just crammed in a game in there so that we can say it's a game.
We talk a little bit about this in the balance lecture where we talk about kind of genre difficulty, and we basically say, if you're in the middle of an RPG game, don't suddenly make on the critical path have a racing segment where a completely different set of skills are needed in order to continue, right? And that's not quite what's going on here. It's a bit more consistent than that, but it echoes the same thing. You've got these two radically different sort of play styles, if you like. I'd almost rather they'd replace this with a simpler cutscene and dialogue system, and then focused on that mini game and made that better.
Yeah, if the entire game was that mini game, but between levels you just, I mean, that's effectively what it is. It's like we have this little cutscene where we're just talking to a robot,
but just have a little visual novel mechanism, where you've got a nice dialogue system and some pictures. Yeah. Okay, so gameplay then. So the mechanics are the problem. So we've got what we have is two different sets of complementary mechanics. So we have a set of complementary mechanics out here, which is exploring and talking, and we have a set of complementary mechanics in the mini game, which are the turrets, the blocks, the shields, and everything else. And the problem is that is it sufficient to connect them with the whole setup, right?
That's it. Yeah.
In both cases, I think they do have smooth controls. It looks to me like you're other than a slight issue with the camera, perhaps.
Yeah, the sort of movement controls in this are like there's just something a bit off with them, but it's not stopping me from playing.
And meaningful play, I would say, from the way you've engaged in the mini games, that's certainly meaningful play, right?
Yeah,
it's hard, but it's there.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, it doesn't feel too far off good. So the good is a set of complementary mechanics, smooth usable controls leads to meaningful play.
I think it,
and I'm the only thing that would push me down is the fact that the minigame is so separate, but I'm tempted to forgive them because of the way they framed it.
That's the thing. It's not actively, it's not actively bad. It just sort of effectively, it has the appearance of that way because of the framing of it. But like I said before, the reason I was so frustrated with the minigame was because I was eager to get back to the quote main game of this bit.
Yeah. Well, even if they put some elements in there, so if they put like an image of the robot that we were hacking or something, just something to connect the two. I mean, I know that's not the mechanics, but yeah, it's just quite disconnected. I still think that I would give them a good.
I think I'd still be happy to say it because it is a good set of mechanics within that.
And bugs. So it looks very playable. I think it's reasonably complex, and it doesn't look to me like there are any bugs.
I haven't noticed any, although I couldn't quit out of that minigame. I had to quit out of the entire game.
So that would put us at the excellent level, and I think that's fine for this. I think they've done a nice job, and it works really well. So we're about to get onto the story bit. So how are we getting on in our story? Okay.
Yeah, too soft. You are not suited to be the king.
You shall call me King Debated.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'll hack you and be done with it once and for all.
You underestimate.
Okay, so this is our alternative endings where we.
So we picked all of the good things. Okay, bye.
And now you have no objectives. What are we supposed to do now?
I guess I'll talk to him again. Character has nothing more. Interesting. It feels like it definitely should have gone into a hacking minigame where we have to defeat him.
Yes.
We might have to reconsider that mark we gave them for bugs.
I think we might, yeah. It looks to me like it's failed to trigger.
Interesting. I also didn't press space then, but I've somehow switched to this mode anyway. I'll go and try talking to one of these, and if not, I'll just hit quit and retry. Although if it saves your progress...
So effectively we got three endings. The righteous, a destruction ending, and a tyrant ending. And I presume we just got the righteous ending.
I think so.
But it looks to me like it failed to trigger, which is a real shame, actually. Okay. Well, let's put that aside for the minute while you make your way through the game again and try and get there. Maybe take a different route and see what happens. Let's think about the story engine. So this is how interwoven with the game world is the story. And in particular, are there places where the game world reflects the story and the story reflects the game world? So they said, how does the narrative impact the game world? So they said the game's based on Queen Bee. So you have three different story dialogue trees. Setting choices in the dialogue tree will unlock choices further down the road, which ultimately culminate in a specific ending route. Different ending routes have different difficulties and gameplay mechanics in terms of the hacking minigame.
Sorry to interrupt, but the last time I spoke to this person, I had a very different level to this. And for some reason, all of my upgrades seem to have kicked in. So maybe
Ah, okay.
I'm pretty sure this is the first one that I really struggled with. Although now with all of these lasers, it's suddenly a lot easier.
Was that down to the dialogue option you chose, though?
No, I picked the same one as last time. I just said, yeah, I can fix your thing. No, it's... okay, it's definitely a different...
Okay, yeah. So what they're saying is the narrative impacts the game world because depending on the choices you take, you get different upgrades within this minigame, basically. And then how does the game world impact the narrative? Making decisions through gameplay, i.e. dialogue choices, will impact the way NPCs behave towards you. So that this is a problem then, because it is true that the interaction in the dialogue is a mechanic of the game, but I think that's not what we mean when we say that your actions in the game world affect the narrative, right?
Yeah.
Your interactions with the dialogue are really interacting directly with the narrative. Interactions with the game world would be things like, how did you behave within this level, right?
Yeah, so for example, if there were, I don't know, extra things to destroy or hack here, like if I got a certain number of those, then I was being extra destructive or something a bit like that.
Then it unlocks different dialogue options in the real world, exactly. So it looks to me like it doesn't go both ways, it only goes one way.
Well, I'm also... Which bit of it is reflecting in the game world?
So, depending on the dialogue, it looks to me like it's gone wrong here, but depending what choices you take, you get different upgrades in this minigame. So I think this multi-ball shoot laser thing you've got is a power-up you get as a result of making certain dialogue choices in the narrative.
But so here's the thing, because they framed the overworld as sort of the main game, I was sort of looking for it to be reflected there.
Yeah,
but you're right. It is reflected in this bit.
Yeah. So I think it does go one way. So satisfactory would be a simple story engine with limited integration with the game world. There are some examples where the story impacts the game world, or the other way around. And I think this is a fairly clear case of that. It's there. It's relatively lightly integrated, and it goes one way.
Yeah, I think so.
Agency. This is kind of interesting. So is it an interactive story with several branching points, and does it have interesting choices, and are there attempts to manage player agency?
I don't know if the choices are that interesting.
No, it's definitely a branching story. You've definitely got different ways of behaving, but those ways of behaving are not framed in a particularly interesting way. There's no reason to behave in one way or another. There's kind of...
Well, they're also sort of not internally consistent. Like, to get the agreeable option for the second character, you have to be mean to them.
And it's not woven into the storytelling. So as we were saying, it's not like you can find out information about the characters and then use that to unlock dialogue options, or to kind of to know. So if one of the robots has said to you, "Oh, the other robot's really grouchy," whatever you do, don't be too nice to him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just simple things about connecting the interactions with one another. And in terms of managing agency, I guess they've gone with this kind of they've done it in a structural way, in that you kind of interact with these three characters in any order. The decisions you make internally to those characters, you always come back to the same point.
So,
and then you have this cumulative choice. So there is some attempt to manage agency through the way it's structured. So
you have their story structure in front of you. What happens if I pick, one agreeable choice, one forceful choice, and one destructive choice?
So basically, if you do one of each, so you've basically got these three choices: help, convert, or destroy. So if you do help, destroy, convert, then you become a tyrant.
Like, is there any reason for nuance? Is sort of like what I'm getting at. So, like, it's the same problem that lots of AAA games, like if you look at Mass Effect, have. Like, why would I, like, is there any reason why you shouldn't just give me a dialogue at the option that says, do you want to be agreeable, forceful, or destructive, and then just do that for the entire game?
Yeah. Yeah, it is the same problem, and there's not enough. Like I said, I don't think they've done anything within the dialogue to pick up on where you are either. So you're not getting feedback as to how you're behaving.
It's not like one robot says, "Oh, I hear you're that goody two shoes that's been helping everyone out,"
yeah.
or "Oh no, it's you." They're all like, "Who on earth are you?"
So I think this comes back to, for agency, they definitely have an interactive story. It definitely has multiple branching points. They're definitely managing agency. So from that point of view, it's kind of at the satisfactory good kind of level. But the problem is the choices. I mean, they're not framed. We don't know why we're making those choices. We're not incentivized to do anything in any particular way. We are literally told, do you want to be good, neutral, or bad, basically. So that's the problem with the choices. So I would say that the choices thing is more at the pass level, which is few interesting choices, right? So for me, overall, that probably makes it satisfactory. Ending 1 of 3.
So yeah, there's definitely a bug in their story engine where that final cutscene didn't trigger. It reloaded me to a previous state in the game, but before I could talk to the third robot, it triggered the final boss fight. Right. So I think we're going to have to move that mark down a little bit.
So I think for agency, it as we said, there are elements which are good, there are elements which are pass, and elements in the middle. So I think for me, it's sort of satisfactory. Let's revisit the bugs then. So we originally said there were no bugs, but there are. So that probably satisfactory would be infrequent serious bugs or frequent minor bugs.
Also, there's a bug in the ending screen where I can't actually click on it. I have to hit escape to bring up the pause menu.
So do we think this counts as infrequent serious bugs or frequent serious bugs?
Another one is when you finish the game, you can't start the game. It just kicks you to the ending screen. Yeah. So to play it again, I guess I have to quit out. And if it's saving this progress locally, then the game is just, I can't play it ever again.
So do we count that as infrequent serious or frequent serious?
Or
somewhere in between?
I would say... I would say it's infrequent. Like we only saw one major bug, but it was a serious bug.
Yeah. All right. So that puts them at the satisfactory level. Let's think about the poetics. Are the narrative and gameplay, do they complement one another? And are the key mechanics in keeping with the themes of the story?
What are the themes of the story?
Well, that's a good question, isn't it? So they've obviously picked up on the whole thing in the Queen Bee of kind of helping others and then they come back and help you. But as I said, it's connected to a slightly odd story that we're going out and persuading people, which is not really, the Queen Bee's about altruism, really, and about how apparently altruistic actions pay off in the end. So I'm not quite sure what their theme is. And the other thing is the gameplay. I mean, it's certainly not connected to. So you're making these choices about do you help them or do you not help them, but you always get the same mini game, and it's a sort of a destruction mini game, right?
Well, no, that's not entirely true. We got a riddle the first time we tried to help him.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Well, you say riddle.
Yeah.
It would be it might be of a challenge to my 5-year-old, but yeah. So I think the problem they've got is they've got a nice mini game which is all about destruction, but that's not really what the story's about, and it's not what the Queen Bee's about, and it's not what the story they've ended up telling is about either. The story's about persuasion, right? So I'll give you an example of what a complementary thing would have been, right? So they're trying to persuade these robots to follow them. So this game should be about converting the robots. So if you had a game where you had to go around to several different points and kind of change them to your color, and then they started helping you, right? So you had to make your way through, convert the nodes of the robot's brain. Those nodes help you, as you go through the level, then that is a set of mechanics that complement the theme, right? That complement the story, but they're completely separate. It's like, I need to persuade this robot to help me so I can become king. Let's go and destroy lots of stuff in his brain, right? So for me, it's just completely dislocated. And in fact, if you're trying to persuade and you're trying to be nice, then again, it's actually counter to that.
Yeah.
So you know, if you wanted to pick up on that, you might say, all right, well, you have to go into their brain, and they are already being hacked by some other force, right? And you have to destroy that force, and it would release the robot to be who they really were. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's now complementary. So for me, I would say that this is probably a pass. Narrative and gameplay have some conflicts. Some of the mechanics go against the themes of the story.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
Techniques. So this is the way in which they tell the story. So the methods that they use, game writing techniques like flashbacks, immediate res, that kind of thing, and of course the pacing.
Okay, so techniques-wise, they have the giant text dump at the start. Then they have some dialogue between the characters. They have some sort of they have like the sort of minor choice that sort of sets up your character at the start. Also, pacing-wise, the pacing on this feels really wonky. Some of the later so it's interesting because it's kind of arbitrary in which order you can go and chat to the robots. Yeah. It's like happenstance that I picked this one first, but this is considerably harder than like some of the other ones.
I did wonder whether that you went through the same challenges regardless of which order you went through the robots. Is that not the case? You getting this? Is it consistent with what it gives you?
That is a good question. I don't actually know. It could be that if I was mean to the robot in the east, for example, I'd get this challenge, but I don't think so. It feels like they all have different choices.
Yeah. So the techniques, so the techniques really are that. So they've got dialogue and they've got text dump, right? And again, so a simple way of kind of doing this would be to try and convey some of the story in the game. So again, even if the robots change their appearance depending on whether you'd converted them or not, right? That would be a way of telling the story through the game. Or here you are inside the robot's brain, right?
Could do a little Psychonauts type thing.
Yeah, exactly. So you could put things in here that would tell you about the robot and would tell you about what's happening to them.
Also, look at this. How am I supposed to get past this?
Yeah, that's a bit nuts.
Because there's another node or whatever on the other side of that wall that I have to get to remove the shield.
You have to create a sort of a bullet wall and go behind that.
But that thing is also shooting at me with bullets I can't destroy.
You're up to it. There you go. Yeah, they're not following the advice of keep things simple for the right.
Interesting. So yeah, I've just destroyed this robot, but he's still here.
Yeah. So this is what I mean, right? So it's there's no reflection here at all of what you've just done in that game, and they could have used it to tell a story. They could have.
Just put like a fire particle effect on him to show that I've destroyed
something. Yeah. So okay. So in terms of the techniques, well, what about pacing actually? So we start off with a little conversation with our brother. We then have the kind of natural beats of each of the robots. So I've kind of got lost here. What happens at the end when we have the climactic bit? Do we have a climactic minigame?
We had a climactic minigame. The problem was it was sort of undermined by the fact that it didn't trigger when it should have.
Yes, yeah, but it was there.
But yes, there was a climactic minigame.
So I would say we got some attempts at pacing. It's not clear that you've got the peaks as you go along. It feels to me like it's it's quiet and then sort of beat and then climax. But there is a climax and kind of the twist with your brother and everything at the end. That kind of works narratively. So looking at the spec, I think there is ascending pacing with a clear final peak. That would be good. ascending pacing and use of it would be satisfactory, and that feels sort of between the two.
That's it. They have demonstrated they can use a narrative technique, but I don't think they've done it well. Like we were saying about that technique at the start, where it was.
They've used at least one game writing technique that would be satisfactory. So my feeling is that this is probably at the satisfactory level. Kind of both the elements seem about there.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's have a look at their feedback and what they said. So they were told to make sure to have choices which impact the game. So it says the game actively checks the choices you've made during the dialogue to decide which choices are able to in the future, which ending to give you overall, and which variation of the ending boss fight you should have.
So here's the thing, I would love to play through this multiple times and see all the different endings, but we've already spent nearly 50 minutes on this, and we asked them to do something that could be done in 10.
So it does look to me like that there is actually some variation. So the boss fight is different according to the narrative choices you've made along the way.
But in what way? In just terms of I will have some upgrades, or is the structure of the fight different? And if so, how does that matter?
Yeah. Make sure there are multiple arcs. The overall structure of the game is that there are 3 main dialogue trees which can be traversed in any order. And picking certain choices will lock off choices or unlock choices down the line. So we told them to... I'm not sure they really explain how that multiple... I presume they mean multiple paths. And then they said, don't make mechanics clash with the idea of the game, but they haven't written a response to that. They've just left it blank.
Interesting. Given that that's sort of what we're talking about for a good portion of this.
So I'm not sure that they've... First of all, I don't think they've articulated that very well, but also I'm not entirely clear they've actually done... What they've done is they've stated what their feedback was, and then just said what they did, as opposed to actually explaining
how what they've done
addresses the feedback. Yeah. So pass would be feedback was not well articulated, but some changes have been made with limited success. I'm not sure. What do they change? The problem is they haven't explained anything they've actually changed. They've just said this is what the game does. Which makes this rather difficult, really.
Yeah, it does.
It checks the choices you've made during the dialogue to decide which choice you're able to in the future, which ending to give you which variation of boss fight you can have.
I mean, part of it is they sort of say, oh, okay, we were told to do multiple paths, but they don't explain why that's important to telling the story, and why...
Or how they made that...
And why locking paths off is sufficient.
If we give them the benefit of the doubt, and we assume that they didn't previously have different endings, which seems unlikely, but let's assume that they didn't, then we could say that they have, partially at least, done some of the feedback that they were given. And that would put us on the pass place. So feedback was not well articulated, but some changes have been made with limited success. Which might be a little bit generous, but feels reasonable. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I mean, like possibly just a step lower than that, because we are really struggling to sort of interpret.
Yeah, right. That's a good idea. That still puts them at that sort of pass level. Okay, you're right. We spent a lot of time on this because it's a big game, they've done a lot of work, and there's some nice bits in here, isn't it? But I still, right at the beginning, we said it would have been better if they'd concentrated on one of the environments that they've done, and then thought more about how to bring the narrative into that space. And I still think that's the case. So a lot of the problems they've got, a lot of the things that they haven't done, are things they haven't done because their scope's too big, I think.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, and our next game is The Traveller.
Okay.
Nice sort of title screen, nice background. No music yet, but we'll see. Ooh, okay.
Aha, okay. So you are a slightly floaty man with a sword.
Yeah, I also can't move.
Can you click?
Oh, no, it's alright. It's the arrow keys, not WASD. If only there was some way of conveying that information to the player. Oh.
You died.
Okay.
Nice.
I've discovered a bug. Oh, I'm not going to do that again. This way.
Okay, so you can jump about. Oh,
Adventurer,
Text.
have you heard about the Baron around these parts? He's always greedy, but lately our taxes have been raised even further, and I think it's so he can afford more treasure. Us villagers have banded together to offer a reward to anyone who can get him to relent. Would you be willing to help us?
Oh, did he give us a choice or not?
It did not.
Oh, that's interesting. So I wonder if that's because we're supposed to make the choice in the game.
I think it's a game, so you have to. If not, you could just go back home and not play. Hello, traveller. Don't know if you've heard about the local... Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Abuse of power, raising taxes. If you're in the business of adventuring, could you sort him out?
Oh. All right.
Yep.
Nothing like those pesky barons. Okay.
Okay. Oh, yep. Skull, pit. Good.
Don't fall down there. Okay, this way. All right. Got there. Don't fall down there.
I know we say you should signpost things, but this might be...
They've taken that a little literally, haven't they? Oh.
Greetings, adventurer.
Hat.
Yes, I have heard about the Baron. Oh, monsters. Okay.
No, monsters.
As you can imagine, it's not helping them grow. Could you deal with them? I'm afraid I don't have a great amount to offer in exchange, but I would really appreciate the help. There are 3 of the critters altogether. If you take care of it, you can press Z to attack. I was wondering that actually.
Okay. Oh God. I mean, it sometimes is a bit strange to put it in the dialogue, but it's quite an effective way of putting in the little tutorial bits.
If they hadn't, I would genuinely be stuck.
Oh, it's one of those possum things again.
It sure is. Question mark. Not a skull, interestingly.
Ah, so well, let's jump down.
Look at that. So okay, that is kind of nice. So because they've taught us skulls bad, and then deliberately put a question mark instead of a skull, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
I'm not sure what the point of it is. Like, why would I go down here?
Are we just missing a lot of interesting stuff, do you think?
I have a feeling... Sorry, I'm going to abuse the Unity collision system to... Because you said there were 3 critters, so what if one of them's at the top bit? Yeah, so if we'd have taken that path, we'd have failed his quest. That's not an interesting choice.
Oh, yeah, right. That's odd.
So we don't die, but we fail the quest if we go down here.
Yeah. So you've killed all 3 now.
Oh, do I have to go back and talk to him, do you think?
I don't know. Well, I was just saying it's not made any reference to it. Good luck jumping up there. Oh. Oh, okay. Nice.
There we go.
I will never mock you again.
Thank you very much, stranger. I remembered I have this old necklace lying around.
Not sure how it's worth, but take it as a show of gratitude. Okay. Does it have any effect on us at all? Oh, this is nice. He just keeps on giving us old necklaces.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit... Okay. I rather expect it to have some kind of impact.
So I only sort of wandered back to talk to him sort of on a whim.
Yeah.
Because
I was expecting it to come up and... So giving you a couple of those prompts.
Because the fact that all of the arrows in the games point to the right. Okay, well, let's continue onwards and see what we find.
I just had a look at their narrative chart, which is kind of interesting.
Okay,
looking forward to it. One of those games where you can trigger. Oh, here we go. Shopkeeper. Hello, traveller.
That's a nice looking necklace you have there.
Will you be willing to sell or trade it?
A gem and a scary mask? You've got yourself a deal.
Yeah. Oh, it's our first choice.
Refuse, sell, or what's the difference between sell or trade?
Wasn't he gonna? Is it money versus? Yeah, we can get money, can't we? Or we can get the mask and the gem. Is that right?
I don't know.
Let's trade. I quite fancy having a mask or a gem.
Here's your new mask and gem. Do we have an inventory or anything that I can see these things we're collecting? Because
no, that's
oh, and another new mask and gem. Excellent.
Yep.
So this is kind of calling it a failure is like maybe harsh, but like a sort of a failure of the story engine to note that this has already happened.
Yeah, it's a little bug, isn't it?
So for example, the fact that the farmer took account of the state and knew that we'd killed the 3 things and then updated the thing, it wouldn't have been a lot of extra effort to add an additional state that says, once again, thank you, stranger. I hope you enjoy that necklace. Kind of thing.
Nice to do business with you. Now go away. Right. There's the pits of doom.
So if you look at this, is my normal jump.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I could make that if it wasn't for the slightly glitchy collision detection. I mean, maybe that's they're taking a bug and just turning it into a feature.
Could be. Right. Aha. Now it's got dark.
There's a skull here, and I don't trust this bridge. So I'm just going to hop over it. In fact, no, I want to see if there's... Okay, no. I don't just immediately fall to my death.
Ah, and there we have...
A really... Yeah.
It's a different art style, though, isn't it? Which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stand
and deliver.
My sword is bigger than your sword. Give me your money or taste my sword. I'll also take any valuables or jewellery that you happen to have on you.
Is there a... You call that a sword option?
What, a scary mask? Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mask is much scarier than the sword.
So basically, when I looked at the chart, so if you didn't help the farmer, at this point, you've got no way to get past the highwayman, and he'd just kill you, and that would end the game.
Okay, so we can't stab him.
No.
It's just a case of...
and then depending on whether you've taken the money or the necklace...
You lose one of those.
Unfolds in a slightly different way, basically.
So if we'd just taken the money, instead of the gem and the scary mask...
Yeah.
We'd have just lost all the money.
Yes, I think so. I think he mugs you. But there's another encounter and it's slightly different based on that. So let's see how it goes.
I mean, we're an adventurer. We don't...
Ah, who's this?
Like, is this guy going to talk to me, or is this guy going to stab me?
Well, there's one of the issues. I'm guessing because he's running around, he's going to stab you.
He's trying.
Yeah.
He's not doing a great job of it. But here's... Oh, okay.
Oh, he's doing a better job now.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Why couldn't I stab the other highwayman?
Yeah.
That guy had a much bigger sword. So that's, what do you call it? Ludonarrative dissonance?
Yes.
Oh, look, another one.
Yeah, and also it's a missed opportunity because it's a narrative decision you could make within the game.
Have you ever heard of Zeno's paradox?
Yeah. Just be glad you're not a tortoise. Right.
I'm not sure how I'm going to get past this.
I think you're going to jump up into the arrows and hit him in the face with your enormous sword.
Nope.
Or you could do that.
Nope, just going to... Okay.
Oh dear. Are you stuck?
I think I can jump out. There we go.
There we go. Okay. You haven't got an enormous amount of health left. Can you get through? I don't think you can get through there, can you?
I think I'm supposed to be able to get through there.
Well, it would make sense, but there's like an extra block. If that block in front of you wasn't there, I'm wondering whether they've
not tested
put
this
a tile down slightly incorrectly. Yeah. Okay. Oh, see that using your cheaty floaty skills.
I mean, it's a good thing. Oh, so I'm just going to die to this guy if I try and attack him. So I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to run away.
Yeah. Good call. All right. So I think this might be near the end.
Oh, that texture's really hurting my eyes.
But you stand out so well in front of it.
Oh, it's worse when it moves.
You're an adventurer. You mainly wear tan. There we go. The blacksmith. Hi there. This is the blacksmith. This is our next. I think might be our penultimate encounter.
He just says hi there.
Hi there. Okay.
Okay, shall we start going through the mark scheme?
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're waiting to get to the Baron.
I guess
I
that's...
presume
Alright, yeah, let's finish this playthrough, and then we'll start going through the mark scheme, and I'll try and do some different choices.
Because I think you're almost there. So he won't let you do anything, right?
Nope. Which is odd, because I still have this big shiny gem burning a hole in my pocket.
Yeah.
This is a much bigger house. I guess this is the Baron's house, because it's giant. Good day, sir. You wouldn't happen to be willing to do a quick favour? It depends.
Okay.
And you just collect some taxes from... Oh, okay, that's what the blacksmith is there for.
Okay. So now next choice is, are you going to take the money from the blacksmith?
High quality dragonite armour. Oh, my health is full again.
So actually this is a bit more of an interesting choice, right? Because we've been told already that the Baron is using oppressive taxes.
But that's not the Baron, that's the mayor.
No, it's not, but presumably taking taxes for the Baron. So now we have a choice. We're going to get rewarded if we take this, but are we,
I mean, given that we're setting out on a quest to, a proletariat revolution, we're going to overthrow the bourgeoisie, and so let's leave the poor man alone.
Yeah, go on then. Okay. Okay.
What do you mean you can't afford it? That's my money. Seems like I have to go and get the money myself. Mayor, brackets, sword.
Yeah.
Pop. Vive la révolution. Nope.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he...
A little bit more...
Oh, hello.
Okay.
Oh, I think you might have... Oh. Is this...
Ah! What?
Is this some kind of mayor mini-game? How come the mayor can shoot fireballs?
How come I'm not damaging him?
Maybe you are.
Didn't seem to be. The hitbox on this is a bit...
This time, my advice would be to get hit by fewer fireballs.
I appreciate that.
I'm here to help. Oh dear.
I can't dodge them.
So you almost had him that time, I think.
Yeah, but only because I just stood next to his face and...
Yeah. Yes, there we go.
Oh no.
Oh. No, you really don't want to get hit by those fireballs. Go on, go on, go on, one more! Oh no! You both died.
Like, genuinely just standing on top of his hitbox and blocking them with my face seems to be the best tactic.
Well, yeah. It's a war of attrition, but it's one you seem to be winning. Oh no! Oh,
that's
right.
I'm trying to remain polite, Dave, but he was dead and then fireballed me in the face.
Well, it's one of those infamous posthumous fireballs. Yeah, I'm not sure you've... I think you've... Oh, right, no. Run away! Oh, fireballed you in the last minute again. Yeah, just run on top of him and go for it. I'm not sure mechanically this is doing what they were aiming for. Right, run away. Oh.
It seems really inconsistent as well, where, like, when I hit him and when I don't, and when he manages to hit me.
Yeah.
Like, they're appearing behind him.
Right.
Oh, look at that.
There you go. So if you... Oh, and they're back with full health again, which is a bit odd.
Oh,
so
and if I go to the left, I just fall off the screen in time.
Please, but at least it's a checkpoint though. And it's a bit odd your health's full again.
I'm glad it is.
I'm a bit surprised there's like the mayor minigame is weird.
Also, I'm back here.
Thanks for running with our awful mayor. Okay.
See, this would... You know when the blacksmith just said, hi, and was really confusing? If he'd have said, oh, I hate our awful mayor, he's just over there, kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. Okay.
So we've got to run through all of this again. It doesn't respawn us back here where the mayor is apparently still not dead.
The mayor's the mayor?
Oh no, he is dead. He's just still standing up.
He's just still there. Okay, right. I want to see if this is the Baron or whether they've misdescribed the mayor. No, I think we've. Yeah, don't hit the spikes. Okay. So.
Sorry, you said don't hit the spikes.
All right, I'm going to go back on what I said because this is taking longer than I thought. So let's talk about presentation. I apart from one or two occasions, like the Highwayman, I think the graphics are quite nice. Actually, they're kind of consistent, sort of blocky backgrounds, pixel style.
Personally, I don't like them. I don't like the fact that there's all of these gaps between all of the tiles. That just looks weird to me. Right. Although I appreciate that's probably just a feature of the assets they've chosen.
Yeah. I mean, it could be worse, I think. I mean, I would say that they're not brilliant at working with one another. So the backgrounds are not quite as pixely as the character, for example.
And the Highwayman in particular was very odd.
Oh, who's back again?
Groundskeeper this time.
Who's the groundkeeper this time?
Wait.
So you want to get in? What a lovely gem! Oh, so we can give him the gem.
If these are the grounds of the Baron's castle, you're honestly not doing a great job. There's spikes everywhere. I'll put in a good word with guards for you if you don't mind me keeping it. I don't get a choice about that. He just takes my gem.
Okay. So we're about to encounter the guards. So information design. Some things work quite well. I think the health works quite well. And some of the little clues they've put around the level are kind of nice.
Yes.
So, but then other things are a bit odd. So there's no way to know what you've got. There's no way to know whether you can talk to somebody or not. And sometimes the signs seem to be a bit misleading. So there was that time when we thought we were clever by interpreting the sign and then going down, and then it turned out that would mean we'd fail the quest.
Yeah, that would have absolutely screwed us over, because then, like, especially this bit here, I would not be able to get through all of those guards.
What's going on with the audio?
So there's some little nice sounds when you hit a spike and a sort of like little pew of a game over music. There's no background music though, which is a little bit disappointing. And there's no sort of...
So satisfactory for presentation would be key information is shown, consistent graphics, some audio. And the past would be some attempted information design, consistent but poorly chosen graphics, some poorly chosen audio.
I think that may be where it sits. Maybe just above that.
I would say that the graphics and audio probably just lifted up a little bit and halfway between the two.
Yeah.
So between past and satisfactory, yeah. Gameplay. So controls, the mechanics and how they work with one another, and whether there's meaningful play.
So overlooking the bugs,
yeah,
the controls aren't terrible. The jumps are still a little bit weird and floaty.
Yep. But you are playing it, right? I mean, you're kind of there is a challenge to be had, and you are engaging with it.
Yeah. Although, for example, the combat parts of it have been not great. So the Highwayman at the start had odd hitboxes, and I couldn't seem to attack them particularly well. And the mayor was
here. We've got jumping, attacking. We've got spikes. We've got the little dialogue option, which we've not had very many of, but are there. And the health, I guess. Well, actually, no, yeah. What are those?
They're archers. They're the Baron's guards.
But
because I gave the groundskeeper a gem, they've decided not to attack me.
Yeah, okay.
Which, now that I think about it...
Okay. So, in terms of gameplay then, satisfactory would be game is playable and is reasonably complex, but there are infrequent... that's the next one. A set of mechanics and usable controls that lead to some meaningful play. Kind of feels where it is.
Yes. Tentative yes.
Aha. Is that presumably is the Baron?
Who looks 3D.
Or is it the Baron? Or is it... Who knows? Let's go and find out. So this is the inconsistent art style.
Right? Yeah, like that's look at those two things together. That looks just so jarring. And also, there's absolutely no background here anymore. Like I know we're inside, but just very.
Okay, let's
Why has he got spikes all over his castle? So it's kind of weird as well that. So by completing that quest, we don't have to fight the guards. So completing the reward for completing the quest is effectively removing gameplay. Like I understand the logic behind it. It's made it easier.
There's always that this is. We'll get to this with say controlling the agency stuff, right? But this is one of the challenges. It's the same thing where if you hadn't helped the farmer, you'd have just died when you got to the highwayman, right?
Yeah.
Which is only a third of the way through the game.
But look at all these soldiers. Look at all this gameplay that I'm missing.
So, well, think of all the gameplay you'd have missed if you'd have made that narrative choice, right?
Bloody hell, he's huge.
He's he's the Baron. He's been eating his Weetabix, right? Okay, what brings you here then, traveller? Come to challenge me. Is that Dragonite?
I don't know, is it? We've never had any mention of it being a Dragonite sword.
Somebody did mention Dragonite. Was that one of the rewards?
The mayor said he'd give us Dragonite armor, but we killed him.
Yeah. Okay.
Although thinking about it, we could have killed him and taken the Dragonite armor.
Except we couldn't.
Don't come near me with that. I'll lower the taxes. Oh no, we're not going to stop there. Death to kings.
Take a bribe for the Baron or fight the Baron. But why would we take a bribe from him? And again, that's another option where you can miss out on the climax of the game. It's like, would you like an exciting climax to the game, or would you like to finish?
I'm just going to hack away at his shins.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to go well. Oh.
Wait, how am I meant to dodge that?
I don't think you can.
I can't get close enough to hit him and still manage. Let's see if I can... When he telegraphs his attack, so I can just about get out of the way. But if I pressed attack in the last, 5 seconds...
Yeah. So if you were up and slash him and run away again... Oh.
So I don't have enough time to even run away from him, so let alone actually attack and... I don't think this is going to be possible.
Well,
oh no, look, he stops for a little bit, so...
Presumably...
So that's...
Do you have to run while he slashes madly at you, perhaps?
Yeah, so I've got to...
Okay, let's talk while you're fighting the Baron. Let's talk about the bugs.
The problem is this is not a fun and climactic boss fight. It's just run away until he stops moving, and then stab him, and then run away a lot more.
What bugs have we seen? So you've got a little bug where you can jump off the edge of the level and fall to your death.
A lot of bugs with the jumping sort of in together. So we couldn't get through certain paths in the level. We sort of can levitate up the side of walls.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to call this combat a bug or just not a fantastic mechanic.
I think it's just not a fantastic mechanic. So it feels to me that satisfactory will be the game is playable and is reasonably complex, but there are infrequent serious bugs or frequent minor bugs. And I think this would count as frequent minor bugs, and therefore we should probably say that this is satisfactory for bugs. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
You killed him.
The Baron is dead. You return to the village to claim your reward and celebrate with the locals. Everyone is happy, but what does the future hold for the village and its people? Will the new Baron be any better? The villagers are hopeful.
And that's the end.
Okay.
So there are 3 endings. One is that you don't help the farmer and the highwayman just kills you.
That's not really an ending, but
no, it's a choice you made without knowing it that removes 2/3 of the game. Then you can either accept the Baron's bribe, in which case the game just ends, or you can fight the Baron, in which case you get this ending. So, yeah, I think their biggest mistake is they keep giving you options where you can sort of stop playing the game early.
It's just like the what's it? Sega adventure games.
Yeah.
Where it's just you can make a choice a third of the way in that totally screws you over and have no knowledge of it until you get there.
I mean, at least they're letting you know fairly soon. But yeah, it's kind of like this is an example of not managing agency.
Like particularly with the way they've designed the level to sort of let you sneak around all of those things.
Yeah.
Like
so actually, we'll get down to the agency mark in a minute, but I think they've made the classic mistake of failing to manage that agency. It's like you are supposed to help the farmer, and if you don't, they have to deal with that, and their solution is just to kill you.
Like it's not a choice. It's not like a case of oh, I'm going out of my way to help the farmer for no. It's just like that. That's the game. Otherwise, it's just running around and not doing anything.
So in terms of the story engine, we're sort of talking about agency, but in terms of the story engine. This is, how well integrated is the story in the game world, and does the story affect the game world? Does the game world affect the story?
Also, sorry, back to agency again and sort of direction of the player. Like I've killed the 3 things.
Yeah.
And I'm next to a big arrow pointing right.
Yeah, and there's nothing.
Like my absolute instinct would just be carry on, because otherwise I've got to trek all the way back there just to see the farmer.
And presumably, although you've talked to the farmer and done what he wanted, now if you meet the highwayman, you'll die.
Yep.
Well, let's find out.
Oh, I definitely will, because I haven't got the necklace, so I'm just going to...
How does the narrative impact the game world? So it says, the Royal Guards will not attack the player if you make certain choices to help the groundskeeper. You'll also be able to avoid a boss fight if they make the choice to avoid taking money from the blacksmith. So I think that's true, that you can make narrative choices that change the game world. That's definitely there. How does the game world impact the narrative? The dialogue suggests to the player what they could do, but it's ultimately the player's actions in the game world which determine the narrative choices, whether they choose to kill enemies to help the townspeople or whether they take from the blacksmith. So the problem is that So it is true that if you kill the animals, then you get a different response from the farmer.
But then you get stuck in that loop of...
Yeah. So I think it does go both ways. I think they've got at least one example of it going both ways. Oh, you lose your life to the rogue.
Oh, you press M to return to the main menu. So it doesn't tell you that at the final thing. Okay.
So you do just die. Okay. So actually with the story engine, I think they have demonstrated an engine that goes both ways. They have a story system that could deliver.
The problem is it's used in such a limited way.
And we'll talk about that. That's the agency mark, right? So they have the potential to do stuff. So they have an effective story engine that integrated the game world. There are some examples where it impacts the game world and is impacted by events from the game world. That's good. I don't think it's quite there because I don't think there's enough examples of it. But it is there. So maybe it's halfway between good and satisfactory.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I think the agency is the one we have a real problem with. So going back to what we were saying, so do they have several different branching points? Are there interesting choices? Do they attempt to control agency?
So for example, this bit with the farmer it's like, oh, you can choose to do this. And it's like, no, you can't. Yeah. It's not a choice because you have to do it to finish the game.
Yeah. So actually, poor here would be an interactive story with few branching points, few interesting choices, and player agency is problematic.
And I will say there's barely any branching points. The only branching point that actually is, that continues the game is at the very end. I pick one of 2 dialogue options.
Well, so the branching points, their structure diagram is pretty good actually. So that shows us. So that highlights you can either help the farmer or not. Then you decide what to trade with the shopkeeper.
So I disagree with the farmer thing. That's not a choice. That's a mandatory part of the game if you want to complete the game.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the agency is very problematic.
That's like saying not getting stabbed by.
Do you take the money from the blacksmith? That's another one.
So that's a branch.
And then do you accept the Baron's bribe? So there probably there's 4 choices, several of which are problematic, but there are 4 choices.
What are the consequences of taking the blacksmith's money actually?
Do you? I think you might get. So if you don't take the money, he gives you the sword. Oh, did he give us the sword? Is that what happened?
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. But
No, that's what it says here.
so
But it says you don't get a reward if you.
So you can only take the bribe from the Baron if you've got the scary sword.
From the. Yes, that perhaps is what's happening. So I would say that I think there are a few branching points.
But like
but I don't think the choice is interesting because they're not set up. You don't know why to do things, and the consequences are really unknown.
So this one in particular, sort of, what's the difference between sell and trade? Is, well, if you sell it, you just immediately lose all of your money in the next screen.
Yeah.
And if you trade,
it
removes a bunch of gameplay.
So I think that because the player agency is problematic, that actually puts the agency down at the poor level. Let's talk about the poetics.
Which fairy tale are they telling, Dave?
Well, that's a good question. They're doing the Queen Bee.
No, they're not.
Where helping a character early on pays dividends at the end of the tale.
Nope.
So again, a few people have made this mistake that they think the Queen Bee is just, if you make choices, those choices have consequences, and that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that, if you put a little bit of goodness into the world, it comes back. What goes around comes around, basically. I'm not sure that really manifests here at all.
Yeah, because if you don't help, so the only sort of real version of that is, do you shake down the blacksmith or not? If you do, you get some armor, and if you don't, you get a sword.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I didn't notice any material difference in the.
No. So
let's shake him down. Let's see what happens. Yeah.
So poetics is all about, do the narrative and the gameplay, do they support each other or interfere with one another? I don't think it's. Are they interfering with it? I mean, they're not supporting one another, but I don't think they're actively causing a problem. They just seem to be completely neutral to it, really.
Take the money.
So that would be satisfactory. The narrative and gameplay do not interfere with one another, but the key mechanics have little to do with the themes of the story. That feels to me like where it is.
Oh, interesting. So he lies about the armor. You don't actually get any armor for helping him.
Okay.
Oh, and then he tries to take your sword anyway?
Okay. All right.
Okay, so
there's a little bit of managing agency there, in fairness to them.
By making you do this fight anyway?
Yeah. False agency.
Yeah, true. But equally, by doing this just means we don't get that choice at the end.
Well,
I don't think it has any impact on the gameplay, like that extra sword. It's just a case of, does the Baron offer you a bribe? Okay, so where are we up to? Thematic still?
So we're talking about techniques. So in fact, we haven't been talking about it. That's where we've got to. So we're on techniques. So what about the pacing? What about the way in which the story is told? So there's the little bits of dialogue. There's a little cutscene at the end. So there are multiple ways in which the story is conveyed to the player. Pacing. There is a climactic battle. And
that you can choose to avoid.
And a narrative one. Yeah, I know. But we've already said the agency is problematic. But I mean, I do think they've got, a climax there. I wouldn't say. So satisfactory would be some ascending pacing, use of at least one game writing technique. Whereas a good would be ascending pacing with a clear final peak and use of more than one game writing technique. I don't think it's quite there. I don't think the pacing feels right throughout the game, but they do have a clear final peak. And they have used more than one game writing technique, although a bit sparsely, I have to say, but it is there. So for me, I would maybe put it at the satisfactory level.
Yeah, I possibly even like a smidge below, but
yeah, I could, it's because of the lack of content. You mean?
Yeah, so like they have demonstrated the sort of a number of techniques, but they haven't done a huge amount with them. Like the sort of the cutscene at the end is just some text. I'm not expecting fully rendered AAA cutscenes, but even if they're done,
well, it's about saying that's the only one in the game, right? So they could have done that somewhere else, maybe as a premise at the beginning or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, but the scheme says they've used at least one.
Oh, true. So the dialogue, they do tell the story quite nicely through the dialogue. That's true.
So I think satisfactory is kind of where it is, but you're right. It's quite sparse. Feedback. So we got feedback to focus on the dynamic of the game, and we spent some time trying to make the combat enjoyable, rather than focusing solely on the narrative. We added choices that had long-term unforeseen impacts rather than focusing on medium impact, such as receiving a stat increase. This better matched the Queen Bee story. We had an enemy that tricks the player into thinking they're going to be helpful but is actually evil. There is no way to avoid fighting the story, which is a twist on the original story of the Queen Bee. But we still believe this fits the narrative, as the original story is about helping those who don't appear to offer anything significant in return. The mayor does not fit the description, as he offers a tangible reward to the player in the form of some armor.
So their first point, I'm not 100% convinced. The combat is not great, and it's also not the point of this game. So what if they're focusing on the core dynamic of their game? What would they say it is? Like, presumably if they've latched onto the combat as the core dynamic, then it's going to be destruction, and that's really against the themes of the Queen Bee story, where you're preventing people from destroying things. So I would say if that was their intention, then that actually is the story and gameplay working in conflict or conflicting with another.
They've used their feedback thing really to justify what they've already done, rather than explain properly how they've changed their game as a result of the feedback. So, I mean, I suppose that. So again, they're making an argument about how the themes of the story work, but you're right. It's a little bit all over the place. So pass would be feedback was not well articulated, but some changes have been made with limited success.
And I think that it might be where it sits, because so they do talk about they want the longer term choices to have an impact on the game that you can't necessarily see the immediate. You can't necessarily see the immediate benefit of helping this farmer because he says, "Oh, I have nothing to give you." But then later on, it turns out that was a good thing to do. Okay. That works. They've not done it fantastically because of the negative consequences of failing to do that.
Yes.
Like, it will just break your game basically. But I can see the intention behind it, and I think that they've done it well. They haven't necessarily articulated it well, but they have definitely. You can see the intent behind it.
Okay, let's go with a pass. Okay, so the interesting game. I think they've done a lot of things right, but the agency is not good.
Yeah, that's really what lets it down, unfortunately.
That's the weakest point. But otherwise, an interesting little game. Okay, shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. Okay, and this game is Thumb.
So I'm rather hopeful that this might be our first Tom Thumb game.
Oh, we can but hope. I'm gonna have a look at the credits first.
Everyone seemed to do the Queen Bee. It's quite nice to have a.
Oh, look at that! They've properly credited all of the assets. That's really nice to see.
Very good.
Let's jump into the game. A woodsman and his wife sat in their cottage by the fire. See, there we already, like, it's just some text, but just the way they've presented it,
yeah,
it has more atmosphere and meaning because of the way it's as if somebody is talking to you rather than it just being, here, read this.
Yeah, rather nice.
In their loneliness, they wish for a child. Oh yeah, and you probably can't hear this, Dave, but there's some lovely sort of crackling fire effects underneath this as well. So it is like you're sitting next to a fire and talking to somebody about this.
Half the size of a normal. So this is doing exactly what we've said on a few other videos about if you have a lot of text, bring it in gradually and try and create a presentation with it.
12 years later. There you go. Even a little bit, like just a tiny amount of the camera panning across the level there.
Yeah.
Like, see, this is exactly what we were talking about. Just tiny little things that you can do that add to the sort of polish and the storytelling of the game.
Nice. And again, just giving us a bit of tutorial when we need it. Very nice.
Just as I was about to complain about how slow the character moves, they say, "Oh, yep, press shift to go faster." I'm not a huge fan of how much the camera swings around like this, but I suspect we're only going to be going right for most of it anyway. Here is Mother, who has glowing red eyes.
Mother does look quite sinister, but we'll let Mother off. You never know.
Tom, would you go collect some bread from the village baker, please?
Yes, I'll go. We're obviously a good lad. We don't have any choice.
Father will be back later, so feel free to explore the village and get some exercise. Dun, 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 dun.
Off you tear. Oh, it looks nice, actually. I like it. It would have a little bit of parallax at the back would have been extra nice, I think. But
I think it is parallax.
Very attractive.
Yeah, it is the background is.
Is it? Oh yeah. I see. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. We can't just push the whole thing the whole way there. We have to go back and then push it some more. And yeah, which actually does make the camera seem really jarring. Also, there's something. There's like a little underground thing there. That's something.
There is. Now, I wonder if that's intentional to let you kind of know it's there.
Toggle C to hide in a tunnel. Why is that a different key to the other one?
I don't. Oh.
Oh, I see. The tunnel goes all the way through.
Oh, so now you're in the. Oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah, it's sort of like a.
Behind the wolf.
So I don't know why they use the C key when they've already got like ears interact, because it's a bit of an awkward move to do when you're hiding from wolves.
Or even if you're moving that way, why not up?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Vines and other materials to climb.
There we go.
I guess we're climbing down rather than up.
This weird blocky thing in the sky. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like how you're sort of always either on the extreme left or extreme right of the screen.
No.
Like in a game, like because even in like Mario, you start off on one side of the screen, but then it moves. The camera moves so that you're in the center.
Yeah, you normally have those kind of, two lines, isn't there, on either side, which push the screen forward. But otherwise, you can move around, and that stops the camera wildly swinging about like that. But
what's
yeah.
that? S allows you to crouch walk, allowing for reduced visibility from enemies.
Okay. So, are they going for... So, do you think you can creep past this fella? Surely
I mean,
not.
we are very small. Oh, that's the baker.
Oh.
Okay, so
My God, he's a well-armed baker.
Yeah, firstly, he's got, like, what's that, a sword and a hammer, so for a baker that's a bit off and jarring, but also why are you telling us to sneak past enemies and then saying, here's a friendly baker?
Yeah, that's odd.
Like, when you're tutorializing that...
Maybe he's not friendly.
Yeah, maybe we should be sneaking past him. Also, just while I'm picking holes in things, why is sprint an option? Why aren't I just always sprinting?
Yeah. Unless they're going for a stealth thing.
But yeah, but then I've got a separate button to engage stealth mode. I came to collect the bread. Do you have it? Why, yes I do, but if you could help me. You see, I need the fruits on the other side of the path. Winter is coming and I need to store as much food within my pantry as we can.
Okay.
I won't go myself, but there's a vicious wolf. You have a sword and a hammer. We don't. We're quite small.
Why are you sending a small child to do this?
No. I mean, no, I couldn't. Like, it's a wolf.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I do not have the time. No, I don't have... It's not that I don't have the time.
No.
For money, or no. No, don't be crazy. It's a wolf.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we go back to Mother. Wolf.
I forgot about the wolf.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're way back here.
Has it remembered? Have you got the bread?
Has
it set you without this?
I suspect not, so I'm going to just go and get the bread again.
Okay. That is a long way to go back. So you couldn't jump over the wolf?
I could jump over it, it's just he was faster than me.
Ah.
So what was it, C?
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. He really is.
I assume that's deliberate so that you have to use the stealthy tunnels.
So Tom Thumb suits a stealth game quite well, and it's a different framing of a stealth game than you normally get, which I think is could be quite cute. But I haven't really seen how they've done it yet. So you've got this crouch thing, but we haven't really used it. You've got the tunnels thing, but we've had to do it. Rather than it being a kind of a choice.
I can't talk to the baker.
Ah. Well, perhaps you did remember then.
Perhaps
you've come all this way for nothing.
Yeah, perhaps. Or it might be that because I didn't talk to Mother, he doesn't know I need bread yet. So I'm just gonna reset myself in case I've bugged the entire game.
So, an example of not dealing with agency, right?
Ah, no, you were right. It did remember that I had bread. So that was just a much quicker way back. So I did go and do all that for nothing.
Yeah.
We can have some breakfast now, go and talk to Father.
Okay.
Where's Father?
Where is he? Over here. We talk to Mother again? Does she say something different to us if we talk to her again?
Nope, we can't talk to her again. She's going to carry on dancing on the spot.
with her weird glowing red eyes. So again, it's quite a good idea to kind of, if people interact with characters they've already interacted with, to kind of perhaps give an extra clue, or... And it's also odd that it's remembered the story elements, but the world has reset.
Yeah, and the tutorial messages. So where is Father then?
I don't know. Go and look for him, I suppose.
I mean, do I have to go all the way back? Like, assuming I did this right the first time, I'd go all the way down here, talk to the baker, go all the way back to Mother, and now I have to go all the way back this way.
Yeah. Did she say earlier on where Father was? Have we forgotten?
I don't know. I can't ask her again.
I think, didn't she say something like your father will be back soon because he was doing something?
Yeah, but then she said, right, go and talk to him now. So I assumed he'd be sort of, back at the house.
Yeah.
Can't talk to the baker.
It did briefly put the...
I mean...
Do you think it passed?
So we said we couldn't possibly go this way because, there's a big scary wolf and stuff, but now I'm going this way anyway just to check if...
Father's there. Nope, that's the fruits that he wanted.
Okay, nope, that's a dead end.
So where's Father then?
Well, I tell you what, we'll go back and we'll have a look and see if
yeah.
they're there.
Otherwise, I think we should help the baker and see if that fixes it.
Yeah, otherwise I'll just reset it and see what happens.
I quite like the moving around. Looks quite good.
Yeah, it's not too bad. There are a couple of little bits that feel just slightly sticky.
Right.
Like sort of there. I think. Whoop, no, hang on. There's a wolf. Let's not make that mistake again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just trying to think of something to say as I do this little commute. Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back. He's appeared.
Interesting. So
I wonder why that was.
I'm going to say that's probably a bug.
Yeah, I think so. Probably.
Hello, so I'm going to go woodcutting, and I will need some help moving the cart. Again, I'm tiny.
So don't know.
Oh. Could you saddle the horse and bring me the cart? Okay, that I could. We can probably cope with that.
That's okay. That's not asking us to imperil our lives.
Yeah.
So where is the cart?
Oh, smash cut. After breakfast, Tom went.
Oh, we got the cart with Vaskin. Little did he know that 2 slave traders were following him. Oh, here they come. They were cornered by the traders. No need to be alarmed. We work in a circus. Right, so this is a classic Tom Thumb story. There we go. Oh dear.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ah, so it's slightly different. So I think in the main story, I think
Yikes.
Tom basically says, "Oh dear."
Is this a consequence of us not helping the baker?
I don't think so.
Have you got their story structure there?
Yes. I think it all happens. Oh, hang on. Yes. I think if we had gold, which we would have got from helping the baker, it would have changed the outcome. So, because we didn't have any gold, because we didn't help the baker, that's why that happened.
So that's again, it's this idea of unforeseen consequences, which
yeah, but I mean, I don't mind that too much when the consequences. So again, in terms of managing agency, it doesn't matter whether you helped or not. The game still proceeds. It's just the story is different. So that's kind of fine. And it's maybe taught us a lesson that perhaps we ought to get some gold. So,
but we don't know that.
You've woken up in some sort of prison or dungeon? Or...
Yeah, I don't know. So I can climb up here, but there's nothing up here.
Yeah.
There's a box down there that lets me reach this. And then there's like some bars here. And if I'm close to the bars when the wolf appears, then it immediately tries to run through the wall to get me, so I assume if I open this, I just immediately die as well.
Is there anything off to the left?
I don't know, that looks like a solid wall. But let's push it this way and see what happens. Hip. Hip.
So is there any other... So their games document thing just sort of implies that there are other prisoners in here.
Okay. I don't see any.
So can you use that thing up above to get past the bars?
No.
Perhaps drop down later.
No, there's another wall up there. I'll get back up there and see if I can move this.
I think
box.
there must be a way through.
Oh, I'm sure there must be, but I haven't.
They've taught us about the boxes. They've taught us about the climbing. Surely.
See, but it's just wall here.
But I can't quite see that. Is there actually a barrier there? Or
yeah,
Can you? Oh, is there an entrance? Can you use C to go behind the wall?
Oh, you're right. There is.
It's just it's very hard to see.
So that's absolutely not obvious.
Ah, there we go.
Because in the previous one, you could sort of walk in front of the wall and then sort of sneak behind it. But yeah, okay.
Well, it's the entrance. So I know it's like on yours, but on my screen that's really hard to see. Activate the wolf cell. Ooh.
No. Read the note.
Read the note.
The front door had another piece of rubble collapse upon it. If you want to leave, just go through the door, which the is. Oh, okay, so I do have to open that.
Yeah. Oh, that looks like a scary witch figure.
Yep, more glowing red eyes.
Help me, I've been captured by the slavers. Alright.
Open my cell, but don't let the guard wolf near me.
Oh dear. Okay, let's go for it.
Oh, okay, you know what? Nope, not helping you now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, goodbye.
Yeah, not helping you then. So we can't get out. So presumably
I reckon we're going to trap the wolf in this bit.
Yes, and then we somehow go past the... Though, how are you going to jump? Okay, just sort of jump over the wolf and then activate the gate quickly. Let's give it a go. Oh, is that the little tunnel there you can hide in?
Yeah. So activate this. Then he'll run this way.
Hide in the tunnel.
And then I'm going to wait for him to go past.
Past.
Oh, he's not going past. Dun, 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 dun.
No, he's just running up and down there like an idiot. Okay. Oh, is that...
And I can't hide because now he's seen me, so... Distance, distance, distance. Nope, never mind.
Oh, he's eating you.
Now we're all the way back here.
Let's start going through it while you are retracing your steps.
Okay.
Okay, so... what do we think of the presentation?
Presentation's quite nice.
Graphics and audio.
Yeah, like fairly consistent. Information design. It's not super obvious that this is, you know, a tunnel that you can go behind, but I mean, we figured it out in the end.
Yeah, I think the graphics are excellent, actually. I mean, I know there's a slight weirdness in some of the character choices, but obviously they're limited in the assets that they've got to tell the story, but they're all really consistent. And even the text that comes up has that kind of pixely quality to it, suits the vibe of the game. I think that's really nice. That E that pops up, it pops up in the right spot and is quite easy to...
Yeah, that's true.
See.
So this is the other problem with the information design, because I can't see the wolf chasing me.
Yes. So is there any audio effects or anything to that?
So the wolf is howling, and there's like some sounds when I close the doors and things like that. There you go.
That's quite a cute little puzzle, actually. I like that.
That bit I quite... So I was going to say, like, gameplay-wise, I was worried there wasn't going to be a lot of gameplay. Because that first bit is just, you know, just go in here, avoid the wolf, and that's fine.
But it feels like we've fairly intuitively solved that puzzle, which is always really satisfying when it's not sort of handed to you on a plate.
Yeah, that bit I enjoyed.
That's good. So, okay, so presentation I think is really quite nice. And continued on his adventures, venturing further towards his family and village.
So I mean, we'll wait and see what happens. I have a feeling I'm going to be punished for not helping that person out of prison, but also they threatened to strangle me, so...
Yeah, we'll find out. Act 3, final.
That's a big wolf.
It also looks like it might be a wolf you can...
It's got glowing red eyes, so we must be able to talk to it, right?
Incongruous? Wolf.
In front of you is the baker's home. I know that you are trying to get home. Do us a favour, and you will not be attacked on your travels by our pack. Inside the cellar, you will need to pass through anyway. There is food that we need to feed, nurture our young for the coming winter. I don't feel the need to help the wolves. like especially stealing from the baker to do so.
So we've got a nice baker that we've got a good relationship with, and a bunch of horrible wolves have been trying to kill us. Yeah. Yeah.
If I say no, is he just going to bite my head off?
Well, let's find out.
Oh no. The alpha wolf doesn't mind, but all the other wolves will.
Maybe the other wolves do. So do we need to just get back home now? It's I don't know what it's like on your screen, but it's very dark. I can barely see what's going on.
So this is interesting. This is a much more open level.
Yeah.
I have no idea where I'm meant to be going.
Well, you were right in front of his house a minute ago.
Yeah, but it said something about you have to go through the cellar.
Oh, good choice.
And again, this is sort of the same problem as the first one. Like, all the choice does, or at least all the immediate thing the choice does, is remove gameplay from us.
Yeah.
So if we'd have helped the wolf, then we wouldn't have had to avoid anything, and it'd just be wandering around some caves.
Yes, I think you're right.
Okay.
Ah. Okay.
Okay. What box? It said this box is preventing the wolves from getting in, but we've not seen a box. Is it just not there because we said we weren't going to help them?
Don't know. So,
escape through the pantry into the village?
Let's do that.
Oh, what's in this strip? Why is there a wolf over it? What are these buttons? Activate the bars, right? See, there's an entire...
Who knows?
Interesting.
But that's not where the story's taking us, so...
Alright, let's go. So anyway, did we decide on...
We didn't. So, presentation. So, I think we both said... Oh, hang on. The prisoner was tormented with the thoughts of rescue. Full of rage, the slaves escaped using their own means. They warned the wolves of Tom and followed him to enact their revenge by attacking his village and family. Oh, really? Well, so I'm very glad we didn't help them
Yeah,
now.
like this sounds like a terrible person to let out.
Yeah. Being refused by one so small shows admirable bravery, but this bravery or perhaps stupidity did not earn Tom any favours as he ventured towards the baker's pantry. Being enemies of the Red Wolves was not envious, but Tom made a fool of them as he made his way through their territory unscathed, garnering perhaps an inkling of respect. I think this might be the end, actually. Let's see. His wound festered from the slaver's strike upon him. Oh dear. I don't think we've got a very good ending here.
No. So it is kind of nice that we're getting this epilogue that's sort of taking us through the choices we made and the consequences of them.
Yes.
It's a bit of a shame that we didn't get to see them reflected in the game world.
No. So effectively there's three. There's what happens to your father, what happens to the wolf pack, and what happens to the prisoner. And I think you get different outcomes on them all. There you go. That's it. So let's go through.
Yeah, from the top.
Maybe this time we can be a bit more I don't know, a bit more insane and help all the horrible, evil things in the world.
I might help the baker. I don't know if I'll help the others.
So, presentation. I think we really like the presentation. So, good would be key information is shown clearly, graphics are consistent, appropriate use of audio. Excellent would be key information is shown clearly, consistent and appealing graphics, and good use of audio. I think the graphics would be consistent and appealing, definitely. What about the audio? Do you think it's a good use of audio?
Yes. So there is some audio. In fact, no, actually, there's quite a lot of good use of audio. So there's some running sounds, there's the sounds of the wolves, there's the sounds of the sort of bars as you sort of move those.
So I think that probably puts the presentation on the excellent level. It's a nice looking game, definitely. What about the gameplay and the mechanics? So the controls, and does it lead to meaningful play? So what are the controls like?
Overall, I think the controls are pretty good. There's sort of a little bit of I don't know, something about it feels a little bit sticky. I think it's when you sort of first start running, you sort of almost do a little Looney Tunes run on the spot for a second before moving. But I almost wonder if that's deliberate to stop you just jumping over the wolf and running away.
Right.
Otherwise, yeah, that feels fine. Mechanics and meaningful play. Mechanics we have
So you've got
talking to people, pressing buttons, hiding behind. So they do teach us this, aha, you can sneak thing, but we've never used that.
We've never used it, no.
Can we sneak around wolves? The problem is because the wolf doesn't have like an obvious vision cone, I have no idea what giving it reduced vision would do.
Give it a try. We've never actually tried sneaking past anything.
I also can't talk to the baker. I have a feeling it may not have reset the fact that...
Okay, the game hasn't fully reset.
So I might just quit out of it and start again.
Come back in again, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I can't talk to Mother either, so...
For mechanics, you've got jumping, you've got crouching, which we don't think does anything. You've got hiding in tunnels, you've got activating the bars and the switches.
Yep.
And then you've got the kind of interaction with the story. It's not a huge number of mechanics, but they kind of work together.
Yeah, I feel like it might hinder the sort of meaningfulness of some of the play. Sort of, for example, like if you refuse to help the wolves or you refuse to help the baker, it just cuts out a big chunk of the game. But even the first bit, there's not a lot necessary. Yeah. Like the first wolf you find, it's just okay. I'll just go around it.
So in terms of the gameplay, then, good would be a set of complementary mechanics, smooth usable controls, and meaningful play. Satisfactory would be a set of mechanics, usable controls, and some meaningful play. I think it's good. I think you were playing it. There was one moment there, I think, when you were solving the wolf puzzle down below that was actually felt.
Yeah, I think that is the bit that does sort of save it from being lower than that, because that was a sort of, you have to lead the wolf into the thing, duck behind it, hit the switch. Yeah. Like that bit was quite good. It's a shame there's not more of that. But
as a
again, small prototype. Yeah,
a small prototype. Yeah, I think they've done a good job. And bugs, I would say that so good is game is playable and is reasonably complex. There are only minor bugs. And excellent is playable and reasonably complex with no obvious bugs.
We've definitely found some bugs within the story engine where it doesn't.
Got a couple of story engine reset bugs, I think. But they're not huge. So I would say probably good.
Yeah.
Now the story engine. So how well integrated is the story in the game, and does the story affect the game, or does the game affect the story? So what they've said is the game world affects the narrative through the use of the escape core dynamic. You're forced to remain stealthy as no way of killing the enemy wolves, forcing you to have more thought put into the choices you make.
That doesn't answer the question at all.
Nope. Maybe addresses the poetics bit, but we'll come back to that. Choices made by NPCs will allow you to make choices directly through dialogue and indirectly through your actions. As simple as choosing whether to... An example is choosing whether to use a fellow prisoner as bait, as an easy way to escape, or by freeing the slave.
Oh, I didn't even think about doing that.
No, that's interesting. Affecting the narrative with the endings depending on this choice, but indirect choice can also be assumed which sees you escape without freeing the prisoner, either which may have unforeseen consequences.
Wait, so hang on. If I murder the prisoner with the wolf, does that mean they don't come after me?
Presumably.
I mean, that feels more actively evil, but might result in a better ending.
Yes, which is interesting.
I mean, I could help them and get a better ending.
A combination of these choices, where the impacts created are not as simple as good and bad, but morally grey, where every possible good intention can lead to negative effects. Yeah, I'm not quite sure they got the morally grey bit, but the choices directly mould how Tom reacts to the ending based on the characteristics displayed within the game world. So it is difficult with choices because you don't want to be too obvious about what the outcome is, because then it can become more of a calculation as to what people do. So this is why we say, make grade choices.
I mean,
but at the same time, you have to have a reasonable expectation of what will happen, or at least an understanding of how it fits with the character in order to make it a meaningful choice.
Well, the other thing is you can have perfect information about the choice and it still be an interesting choice rather than a calculation. So, for example, if you meet a shop vendor and he's like, "Do you want this sword of +10 attack or this shield of +10 defense?" You know exactly what the choice will do, but it's not a calculation because both of those things are interesting. One isn't strictly better than the other. It's down to which style of gameplay you want.
But we're also after sort of interesting choices, and I think what we'd say if someone presented that was that that's not a particularly interesting choice. But even if you're presenting kind of moral choices, you can still have variations going on according to what choices of the consequences, without it deviating completely or being completely unknown what's going to happen, right? So anyway, let's think about this story engine thing. So I'm not sure they've answered, I don't think they've expressed it very well in their notes, but in terms of the game world affecting the story, it's certainly true that, for example, if you free the prisoner, actually, no, you do that within the story, don't you? You don't do that in a...
No. Well, you sort of do it within the gameplay, right?
You can feed the prisoner to the wolf, and that affects the... And you presumably do that within the game itself.
Yeah, because that's
an example. That's an example of the game world affecting the story.
Effectively, if you want to free the prisoner, you have to come up with a different solution for the puzzle.
Yes.
Which is...
So I think in this case, their story engine does have the impacts going both ways, right? So you make a choice within the story, for example, I'm going to free the prisoner or not, and that changes the game world. You make a choice within the story, I'm going to lead the wolf to the prisoner, and that affects the story, right? So good would be an effective story engine that's integrated with the game world, and some examples where it goes both ways, basically.
So where does the story impact the game world?
So, for example, you make a choice within the story whether to free the slave.
Is that a choice within? See, I would say that's a choice within the game world.
Well, you're doing it within the dialogue system.
No, no, you're not.
But also,
that's my point. You don't do that within the dialogue system. You do that just through the buttons and the wolf and all of that.
I thought you actually said to the slave, "No, I won't free you."
Nope. They just say, "Oh, in fact, look, we'll find out."
Yeah. Okay.
See?
You're right. I apologise. So, what would be an example? Does it affect that way then? So, what about the baker? Do you choose to accept or not? So, what are the choices you've got? You've got whether you help the baker. So that gives you... So if you accept that quest, you get more gold, and you can bargain for more gold as well.
Wait, you can bargain for more... Oh, if you say, "I won't help you," and then you can say, "Give me money."
Money, and you say yes, you get even more gold. So I think there's one example there. I don't think there's many, though. So I would say for the story engine, it's probably only at the good level.
What impact does that gold have, though? Because right now I just give the gold to the slavers to stop them beating our father. Does having more gold change that?
Let's have a look. So I'm looking at their notes to see. I can only see one place where the gold. I can only see one place where the gold kind of impacts.
Oh, I can apparently use a gold coin here for the wolf as well.
For the wolf.
I don't know why the wolf would want a gold coin.
You can bribe the wolf with the gold.
Why would the wolf want...
So I think there are one or two little examples, but there's not many. So I think that's good. So that basically says it's it works. It goes both ways.
See that? It's not quite ludonarrative dissonance, but the fact that I can just bribe a wolf with gold and then none of them attack me, and then effectively...
Well, let's talk about the agency, because this is where it gets a bit more interesting, right? So,
True.
So this is definitely an interactive story. It definitely has several branching points, and it has many different endings. So the quick question here is, do they have interesting choices, and do they have some attempts to manage player agency? And I think that in some ways they do, in that they use the structure of the story. So, for example, unlike some of the other things we've played, the game just doesn't suddenly end, right? You
get a little epilogue, which is really nice.
Choice, it branches, and then it has this fold-back structure where you come back together.
Although
so no matter what we do with the baker, you're going to end up on the prison level, right? So that's clearly an attempt to manage agency.
So it looks like that entire route, though, is just a big dead end, which feels slightly weird.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that sometimes what they're doing is that they're as you said, they're removing whole chunks of game as a consequence. So if we look at it, a good would be an interactive story with several branching points, some interesting choices, and a few attempts to manage player agency. Excellent would be an interactive story with several branching points, some interesting choices, and an effective system for managing player agency. And the other way, satisfactory, would be an interesting story with several branching points and some interesting choices. So I think they've got a good here. They've got several branching points. They are giving you some choices. Whether the choices are interesting is the problem, because the outcomes are so random. But they are trying to manage player agency.
Like for example, like letting the prisoner. The prisoner is kind of the most interesting choice, right? Because there's a number of different options you can take. You can let them go, you can not let them go, or you can kill them.
Yeah.
But there's somebody that's threatened to murder you.
Yeah.
And leaving them in there, they just get out anyway, and then go and destroy your village.
Yeah. So I think this is the problem with the choices. So for me, the interactive story is present, the managing player agency is present, but the choices are a bit off. Maybe we should take it down a notch and say it's.
So again, here's another thing: we didn't accept their offer.
Yeah.
We said, I can't do that, but here's some gold, and they said, very well, you may pass. So this doesn't fit with that choice we made. We get a different.
No. So for that reason, and the choices, I would say maybe the agency aspect should be satisfactory rather than good.
Yeah.
Okay, poetics. So, do the narrative and gameplay complement one another? Are the key mechanics in keeping with the themes of the story?
So Tom Thumb as a story is sort of about, being small but overcoming adversity, sort of.
That's right. Through being smart, basically. Yeah. Size doesn't matter, I suppose. So they've picked up some of the themes of the story. So with the sneaking. And I guess you could argue that because you have to get around the wolves and you have to kind of, one way through this is to fool the prisoner. That's very Tom Thumb, right? So Tom Thumb is exactly the sort of character who let a prisoner out pretending to save them and then feed them to the wolves so he could escape.
Yeah.
Right? And that person was nasty, right? So that does chime with it. So they could have done a bit more, but again, it's a small prototype. But I think they've got something that kind of works. So good would be narrative and gameplay complement one another. The key mechanics are in keeping with the themes of the story. And excellent would be narrative and gameplay support one another, and the mechanics emphasize the themes of the story. I don't know if they've emphasized that aspect of the story that much.
Yeah, I don't. Particularly given that, like you say, the sort of tricking the prisoner kind of would be a very Tom Thumb thing to do, but that gives you a bad ending.
Yes.
So I think they do sort of support each other, but like you say, they perhaps could have taken it a step further to really hit the excellent level.
So techniques then. So this is the pacing. How many game writing techniques they've used. What do you think? So what are the techniques?
You've got the nice sort of intro and outro sort of cutscenes. You've got dialogue with characters.
Yeah. There's not much environmental storytelling going on, or it just sort of reflects the state of the story, I suppose. But that's okay. So they've got a couple of different methods they're using.
The pacing, I wouldn't say it has that clear final peak, though, is the problem. Particularly given that you have two.
I think it does, but the problem is you can choose to avoid it.
That's exactly what I was about to say. You've got two options to totally bypass that climactic final level.
Yeah. So I agree. I think if you went through a certain route, you've got the encounter with the baker. That's a nice, easy thing to do. Then you've got the kind of thing with your father and the slavers. That's a kind of and then you've got the encounter with the wolf pack. And they could have done more to build that up. So they've obviously thought about having the story progress in that way, and each of those encounters does go up in terms of stakes, but
there's a lot of tell don't show.
Yes.
So again, small game prototype, I know, and things, but when it's talking about your village was under attack from the slaves and things like that, it could have been nice if when we'd arrived home at the climax of that level, we saw a reflection of the state of our village as a result.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to the story engine kind of thing, sort of seeing the consequences of narrative actions in the game world.
So yeah, and that would have. So okay, so I think they have, however, used more than one game writing technique. So I think that is good.
Yep.
But the pacing, I think, is a problem. I think you might argue that there is some ascending pacing, but it's thrown off by the choices. So that would be satisfactory. So it feels like it's either satisfactory or maybe a little bit higher than that because of the game writing techniques. Sort of halfway between satisfactory and good, maybe.
Yeah, I think perhaps.
Okay, so feedback. So they said that the feedback we received showed that the current narrative system did not impact the game world sufficiently.
So what did they do to address it?
Revising the story system included more grey options implemented with further advice. Choices became less direct, or almost impacting future gameplay in meaningful ways. When we presented this new system, Tom was envisaged as a stealth killer, but it was pointed out this did not fit the narrative themes of the story, right? Which is right, and we've just said that they've done rather a nice job of doing that. Tom Thumb is supposed to represent how even powerless people can be brave and bold, which was contrasting the system of killing and creating a morality meter. His small size made sneaking around a perfect gameplay mechanic and enabling killing detracts from this experience. Okay, I think they've understood that and implemented it well, actually.
Yeah.
The story and choices were changed to reflect this new approach, and the choices question your morality through clues and dialogue, choosing if you wish to make the game easier by being cowardly, or if you're more brave and cunning as shown in the original story, you will have more luck on your journey.
That bit I'm not so sure about. What clues in dialogue have we been given?
Yeah.
I always the biggest dialogue clue that I can see is the fact that this person threatens to strangle us. But either of the two options that leave them,
Yeah. So even so, though, I mean, good would be feedback was articulated and reasonable changes have been successfully made.
Now, I would say we're definitely there.
And I think what you're talking about stops them being any higher, doesn't it? But it's kind of, I think they've done a pretty decent job there. I mean, overall, I like this. I think it's a really nice looking game, and it's a nice example of actually integrating narrative within a platformer. Particularly this bit with the slave is really nice and interesting. It's a shame that you are making choices in the dark quite so much. I think some more clues would have been quite helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's our last game.
That is our last game for this batch. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we will see you in the next video.
Bye bye.